Look, I'm always amazed at the, I guess, allergic reaction to any self-reflection at all. It's okay to admit that you got things wrong. It's actually admirable when people admit, especially people in media who are supposed to be, sharing accurate information. It's okay to say, look, I got that wrong.
Well, we're back on the Young Turks channel today, and the Young Turks, Ana Kasparian and Cenk Uygur, are roasting the mainstream media for getting all sorts of things wrong last year, 2024. It's the beginning of 2025, so of course people are looking back at last year, and today they're taking a look at Rachel Maddow, our favorite our favorite establishment mainstream media hack who, I don't want to say anything rude so early in the video, well, who panders, who is in love with the Democratic Party, who was 100% convinced and stated quite forthrightly that Joe Biden was 100% cognitively there, not at all deficient. So let's see what Cenk Uygur and Ana Kasparian of the Young Turks have to say about that looking back.
Is there a world in which Democrats should have a backup plan for Joe Biden?
A backup plan?
If he needed to be replaced on the ticket. If we're 3 months out and Trump's still beating him in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, North Carolina.
I mean, I think the backup plan is run a better campaign. Biden hasn't been disqualified from running for the presidency, but anything having to do with any of his performance. It's just that it's going to be a tough fight.
Yeah.
And so I think the backup plan is fight harder. Yeah. The backup plan is make sure you win the Senate. The backup plan is people should volunteer earlier and do more and give more money and do all of those things.
That was MS.
Sorry for interrupting so soon, but what Rachel Maddow said there is just so Democrat, so government, so hacky, so liberal. The backup plan is just spend more money. All of you plebs out there, you need to give more money and more of your time to the Democratic Party so that that's your backup plan for actually maybe having a chance of beating Donald Trump in the last election. Typical, just throw money at it. Yeah, that will do the trick.
NBC host Rachel Maddow back in June of 2024. And keep that in mind when you consider that Semaphore spoke to key media figures across digital, print, and legacy media, Republicans and Democrats, to discuss the things that they got wrong in 2024. And judging by that video you just watched, Rachel Maddow did get some things wrong. The question is, did she learn a damn thing about it? Well, rather than citing her real mistakes and terrible predictions, she actually ended up blaming her audience. So here's her statement to Semaphore. She said, I thought people would be more unnerved by J.D. Vance, less the cat lady thing and more the Americans are going to have to get over the dictator phobia Mencius Moldbug thing. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Mencius Moldbug, that's a pseudonym for Curtis Yarvin, who Vance has followed for years. And Curtis Yarvin is someone who's against liberal democracy and is in favor of a monarchy, though he seems to have a tough time defending that position. Cenk Uygur actually interviewed him about it, and it was embarrassing if you ask me. But on October 1st, Gallup released the following poll comparing voter ratings between Tim Walz, who was the VP pick for Kamala Harris, and J.D. Vance. And yeah, I mean, she is right that people didn't seem to fear J.D. Vance as much as she was hoping for. So at that point in time, in October of 2024, less than half of registered voters nationally had a positive view of Tim Walz or J.D. Vance. A combined 46% rate Walz as either an excellent or pretty good choice versus 41% for J.D. Vance. And despite Walz's slight lead on this measure, the two were equally likely to be rated as poor choices. Just under 4 in 10 voters see each as such. So she is right that people didn't buy into the fear-mongering about J.D. Vance as much as she hoped for, but to kind of pivot to what she believes her audience got wrong or the Democratic voters got wrong, or voters in general got wrong, instead of taking ownership of the things she got wrong, is kind of amazing. But what do you think, Cenk?
Yeah, so I mean, look, even that quote is telling because it's indecipherable to the average person. Get over dictatorphobia, Mencius Moldbug thing. What? What are you talking about? So look, I interviewed Curtis Yarderman, as Anna pointed out, so I know what she's talking about. The average person doesn't, and nobody knows about Curtis Yarwood. And yeah, he's comical and ridiculous, and that's why I'm worried about J.D. Vance and Donald Trump, and that's why I voted against them. But the average guy doesn't know that Curtis Yarwood is in favor of a monarchy, which is actually a dictatorship, which is what J.D. Vance was, the fact that J.D. Vance is in favor of that is problematic, etc. So one, out of touch with what actual human beings are going through. They're worried about gas prices and food prices. They're not worried about Mencius mold bug, who they've never heard of. And secondly, and even more importantly, she's saying, damn it, the fear-mongering didn't work.
Yeah, totally. That's exactly right. I mean, it's amazing that, look, I'm always amazed at the, I guess, allergic reaction to any self-reflection at all. It's okay to admit that you got things wrong. It's actually admirable when people admit, especially people in media who are supposed to be, sharing accurate information. It's okay to say, look, I got that wrong. In fact, we're gonna give you examples of people who actually did take ownership, and I give them a lot of credit for that. It builds credibility when you're willing to admit when you've gotten something wrong. And by the way, remember, this is what she said when Joe Biden ultimately ended up dropping out of the presidential race.
Just thinking about the president right now, what a man, what a patriot. What an act of selfless devotion to your country. And he has been a phenomenal president. He ended the presidency of Donald Trump at one disastrous term.
Oh, I have to stop on this. What a man. What a selfless patriot. What a brilliant presidency he had. Oh, the shamelessness of these people. The shame. As somebody has said, as the memes say, you do not hate the media enough. You think you hate them, but you don't. You do not hate them enough. And Rachel Maddow is just the perfect personification of this. The absolute avatar for the ultimate establishment media hack. Just sickening. And the sad thing is, I've told you before in other videos, my entire family are all liberals, leftists, progressives, libtards, whatever you want to call them, some stripe of the left. And not only do they contribute to the Democratic Party and even volunteer for them, which I think is madness, but some of them watch Rachel Maddow every single day that she's on. And I tried, as you know, I live in Europe. I've lived in Belgium for many, many years. And whenever I visit the States, when I go back to visit, I've tried to watch these shows just to get, see what the other side is saying. I can't even stand to watch them. It's unbearable. Same thing with Fox News, by the way. I just can't stand watching any American TV. It's absolutely unbearable. Just having it on in the house when I'm visiting drives me nuts. Yeah, talk about not admitting when you get things wrong.
And he did it while being decent and civil and honorable and normal and occasionally boring at a time when boring was absolutely what we needed. And I just, his career of decades in public service as a senator and as a very successful vice president and as a phenomenally successful president, there is no single thing that he has done in that entire career that is a greater or more consequential act of service and sacrifice to this country.
It's just so pathetic. It looks like she's trying to hold back the tears. Maybe she actually believes this stuff. Honestly, maybe she is a true believer. I think she might be. But it's just watching it. I mean, I'm at a distance anyway, but how can people not see through these hacks?
Girl, the American public were getting boring every night with your MSNBC show. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Go outside and talk to real people. She is so out of touch with ordinary people. It is amazing.
Yeah. So look, something that would have made sense if she said, look, maybe we should have focused more on economic populism because people were worried about prices, or they're worried about kitchen table issues, etc. Something that could have made sense if she said, well, it turns out Biden was too old and we got that one really wrong. And you could tell it in the debate. I wish we'd known that could have figured that out earlier. And if he stepped aside a year ago, then we could have had a primary, picked our best candidate, then we would have been able to beat Trump. Those are all very logical, rational things to say, but she doesn't go in that direction at all.
Of course, she doesn't go in that direction. Okay, I think that's enough of the Young Turks roasting Rachel Maddow of MSNBC, ultimate media establishment media hack. Anyway, let me know what you think about this. It's always good to look back. Self-reflection is good. I agree. God knows I've got a lot of self-reflecting to do. And, you know, we all do. We all do. But we can all look back with some amount of thankfulness that at least Kamala Harris was not elected. On the other hand, what's Trump gonna bring for us, especially if he's hooked up with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy? So we'll see. I'm doing more videos about that because, as you probably know, that's a big issue right now. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Like and subscribe really helps me grow the channel and continue making content for you.